Federal research funding disruptions still hit UCLA. A year after Washington suspended more than $500 million in UCLA's research funding, the money has mostly come back. The staff who left, the projects that stalled, and the pipeline that never fully refilled have not. 1 year after the federal government suspended approximately $584 million in research funding at the University of California, Los Angeles, researchers say many of the consequences continue despite court orders restoring most of the grants. A federal judge ordered the Trump administration to reinstate the bulk of the suspended National Institutes of Health, National Science Foundation, and Department of Energy awards. But faculty members say funding delays, hiring freezes, and the loss of early career researchers still affect scientific work across the university. The grants were suspended after the federal government alleged UCLA failed to adequately address anti-Semitism, engaged in illegal affirmative action practices, and allowed transgender women to compete in women's sports. UCLA denied the allegations and challenged the funding freeze in federal court. Restored funding hasn't restored lost research momentum. Carrie Bearden, a professor of psychiatry and biobehavioral sciences, said graduate students and postdoctoral researchers in her NIH-funded neurogenetics laboratory temporarily lost salary support while the grants were suspended, and some junior faculty left UCLA after concluding the research environment had become too uncertain. Even after funding was restored, researchers reported delays receiving the awards, leaving some labs waiting months to start projects that had already been approved. Those setbacks carry weight beyond a single fiscal year. Federally funded research runs on multi-year timelines, specialized personnel, and continuous data collection. And when a project is interrupted, rebuilding the team and restarting the work can take far longer than restoring the underlying funding did. Hiring pipeline remains under pressure. Dmitry Shliaktenko, director of UCLA's Institute for Pure and Applied Mathematics, said hiring freezes have cut opportunities for graduate students and researchers finishing postdoctoral appointments. The slowdown extends past UCLA. According to a letter from University of California President James Milliken to California's congressional delegation, the National Science Foundation has awarded 39% fewer new research grants than in prior years, a pattern similar to what's playing out in federal energy research accounts facing their own steep funding cuts. Fewer awards mean fewer new projects entering the pipeline and sharper competition for what's left. Grant oversight rules could compound the setback. Researchers are also watching proposed revisions to the Office of Management and Budget's Uniform Guidance, the government-wide rulebook for managing federal grants. The changes would expand political oversight of certain grant decisions. And university leaders argue they could add uncertainty for institutions that rely on federal support across fields from biomedical science to engineering and energy technology. Not unlike the turmoil clean energy demonstration projects have faced when federal agencies reorganize funding priorities without much notice. The University of California has encouraged researchers to weigh in during the federal rulemaking process while continuing talks with policymakers. Federal research grants finance more than individual labs. They underwrite graduate training, shared facilities, and joint work with hospitals and national laboratories, the same funding architecture behind the broader federal research strategy shift now underway. Pull on one strand long enough, and the rest strains too. Researchers argue that prolonged uncertainty risks slowing discovery precisely where private investment tends to be thin, in basic science, medical research, and clean energy work, among other fields. UCLA's grants came back. The people who left didn't, and neither did the year. Faculty say the episode showed how fast a funding freeze can hit staffing and timelines, and how long the damage lingers after the legal fight is won. For research-intensive universities, the real cost isn't the months of lost funding, it's the longer stretch of rebuilding that follows. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment and Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.